So you've all heard this phrase before, the wrong side of history. As an aspiring historian, it's always struck me as a little weird. After all, history here is working in a very particular sense. It's not referring to specific events in the past, nor is it talking about what we like to refer to as, the academic discipline of history. Instead, history here is functioning as a process. It's a vision of history that passes moral judgment, that determines the course of future events, and even gives us lessons that we can clearly learn from. This is, in a way, history as God. In my thesis, I've argued that this vision of history is extremely important to understanding how people in the past have thought about their own place in the world, and that historians have perpetually underestimated its importance. By way of example, I turn to these guys, a group of people who are pretty firmly on the wrong side of history, Argentina's most recent military junta. Believing themselves to be reincarnations of Argentina's past military heroes, they conducted a systematic and brutal campaign of state terror that killed up to 30,000 people in the late 70s and early 80s. Once you were ensnared in their system of repression, you were essentially kidnapped out of real time. You had no idea if days had passed, weeks, months, years. You were brought to one of these clandestine detention centers where you were tortured for an indefinite period of time. Of course, outside of these centers, their circular vision of history couldn't exist because, time happens linearly and the past stays in the past, but inside they could make it real. Quotes from 19th century dictators were written on the walls. Prison guards dressed up in Nazi uniforms and screamed, "We are the Gestapo," as they beat their prisoners to death. This wasn't just psychological torture. The victims were recalled being lost in time. As one survivor put it, "I wasn't sure if I was in Argentina or in Nazi Germany." This was a full-scale attempt to make their circular vision of history into a reality. It represents the only known governmental attempt to reenact and, quote, improve upon the Holocaust. This wasn't just some crackpot theory. Instead, it was legitimated by state power, and it directly drove state action. If we historians are to really understand the past as it really was, as the quote goes, then we need to take a good hard look at these uppercase histories that people really believed in, that were made through this belief into important, influential historical facts. We need to take a look at these and consider them not so much as informed, sensical ways of looking at the past, which they absolutely are not, but instead as ways for individuals to contextualize and make sense of their relationship to the present. Thank you.